Hello, welcome. This is Reels and Around. I am Ronan.
And I am Kirk.
Hi, Kirk.
Hi. Hi. How are you doing today, Ronan?
I'm doing good. I'm doing
glad.
good on this Wednesday.
Yeah, Wednesday.
Wednesday afternoon.
Yeah. Yeah, something like that. That sounds right. Let me check. Yeah, that tracks. So what did we watch this week? Parasite.
Parasite. Yes, we wanted to see if it led up to expectations.
Yeah, there were a lot. I mean, from the Academy Awards to everything, this was a
Yes.
well-touted film. And so many people that I talked to said they went in not knowing anything about it, and then it really surprised them.
Sounds like us.
And I went into it not knowing anything about it other than that, and wow, I
Yes.
did not see that coming.
Well,
Go ahead.
I was gonna say first before we talk about all of that, let's talk about who made it.
Let's do it.
Now, you might be a little bit better at this challenge than I did, or than I
Sure.
was, but I went about it since this is a foreign film. If you guys don't know.
South Korean.
I wanted to go about and see if I knew any other movie or TV show that anyone has done before.
I do know some South Korean films because of my time in acquisitions, and South Korea was one of the territories I worked with the most. But that having been said, I could name like five. Like five. I don't want people to be like, "Oh, he worked in South Korea." No, like five.
Yeah, because I think I've only seen like one other South Korean film.
Old Boy.
No, it's not Old Boy.
Okay, first off, fix that shit.
Okay.
Old Boy is like the best South. But anyway, continue.
I think it was called like The Doll or something like that. It was a South Korean horror movie.
No, well, that doesn't surprise me.
Anyways, so writer and director was, sorry if I'm pronouncing any of these names wrong. It is a foreign film. Bong Joon-ho.
Sure.
He's also in The Host.
Okay, good movie.
Okja.
Okja,
and
yeah.
Snowpiercer. It's a TV show.
Okay.
I'm guessing you know like most of those or all
Well,
of them?
Snowpiercer's not is English.
Oh, I didn't know those.
Yeah. Okay.
I will say I did know one of the things on this list.
What's that?
I don't know if you wanted to guess once I've said them all or
No, go ahead.
Okay. We have now it's on to actors. We have Kang Ho Song,
Who played the? Give me who they play, because that'll.
Ki Taek, Ki space T
Which of the
A
characters?
E K. I want to say he was the father,
Okay.
but I'm not exactly sure.
Sure.
But The King's Letter, The Interview, Memories of Murder.
Okay. You recognize the interview?
Yes,
I'm
The
just wondering
Interview.
from what.
Huh?
So for the record, that was based on your inflection that I figured that out. I don't know what the interview is. How did you know it?
Oh, you don't know the movie The Interview?
I
From
know many movies know the interview. He's
Oh.
not in them.
Seth Rogen. That interview.
Oh,
He was in that interview.
He was. yes, he was. That's right. Okay.
That's the only movie on this list or the list of the actors
Sure.
famous movies that
Keep it
I've
up.
known.
Keep it up. What else is there?
Lee Sun played Kyon.
Okay, son.
Dong Yank. Hard Day, Diary of a Prosecutor, Paju.
Yeah, sure.
Sure. And then there's Yu Jong Cho, Young Ko. The Servant, Obsessed, Cheat on Me if you can.
Okay. Challenge accepted. Interesting. Okay, so I mean, basically, we don't know any of the. You can't pronounce any of the names. We can't
No.
pronounce the names. You've heard of none of them except the interview in which the
Yes.
father played a role, which I now remember.
Yeah.
Okay, but getting to the crux of the matter.
Yes.
What did you think?
So, like you said before, there's a lot of expectations that were put on us or put on the
Yeah.
film, more or less. Like,
I would say it met and exceeded them all.
I would say the same. That's what I was just about to say.
I don't want any of this to be confused with that I liked it. I did not dislike it, but I need to sit with something, and we finished watching it like 12 seconds ago.
Yes.
It was beyond
Interesting.
expectations.
Like,
Like
yeah.
even going in with people like say, "Oh no, it's so good, it's so good, it's so good, it's so
Yeah.
good." Usually I'm like, "Yeah, okay, whatever." and then it disappoints. This I went in and was like, oh, this is so. First off, because of the whole zombie kind of thing, at least in the U.S. over the last decade, a movie called Parasite I thought was going to be like Contagion or Quarantine, or I honestly thought it was going to be about. So even in the first few things, as people were like, they were fumigating and doing things, and people started looking like they were getting sick. I'm like, okay, here it gets. Here the outbreak starts.
Yeah.
But no, it's talking about the family as a parasite. They infect. By the way, major spoilers. If you have not seen Parasite, do not listen to Beyond this. The family itself was an invasive parasite. They moved in, they spread,
and conquered.
That's certainly one way of interpreting the ending. Yeah. This, above all, this movie is screwed up.
Yes.
It is so beautifully shot and written. It is truly beautiful, but from such a deep place of broken. Like, the man who wrote this, good God! Like I remember in 2000 when American Beauty came out and won Best Picture. I remember seeing it. Might have been 99, but I think it was 2000. Pretty sure it was 2000. Anyway,
Close enough.
I was my senior year of high school.
Yeah.
I remember it coming out and seeing it, and I was talking to my film studies teacher about it, video production teacher, and he said, the beauty of American Beauty is that you know someone as disturbed and screwed up and weird and just generally just broken as every single person in the movie. Every single person in the movie is a trope of an individual you know. The beauty of this movie is never have they all been together before. And this was a beautiful symphony of broken people playing, you know, if I'm still talking about American Beauty, from the mom to the dad to the daughter to the next door neighbor to the whole neighborhood was a symphony of people that you know that you really keep from meeting, and this movie's about them together. In a similar way, I mean, I'm not from South Korea. I have lived in South Korea.
Yeah.
For the record, I have in fact lived in South Korea for for military station stuff. But not even through my Korean experience, I have met someone that reminds me of every single character in this. From my time in Hollywood, the kind of rich, the rich family with their staff that they treat like family, but they don't treat like family. Like oh, they're such a member of the family, but they're the help. Yeah. Right. I know. I mean, there was not a character in this that I didn't feel like I could not just identify with, but that I was like, oh, I know that guy. Like, I'm friends with that guy. And then you just watch them in a slow motion car crash. And it very much smacks to me in a very different way of American Beauty 20 years ago, of it's just a slice of looking at the world. In American Beauty, it was America, and this it was clearly South Korea. But it was a cross section of looking at messed up people in a messed up situation and watching what they do. Both movies end with a murder. Parasite ends with a bloodbath, but both movies end with a murder, and both movies end with narration of the main character kind of summing up how it went. Both movies end with a voiceover monologue of the main character saying, here it is. I mean, I didn't draw the association until the movie was over. It wasn't like watching it, I was like, this is just American Beauty. But really, it smacks heavily of that same theme of deeply flawed people that you know, in a deeply flawed scenario that until 2/3 through the movie, when they discover the secret bunker, spoiler, nothing weird had happened in the movie. Like, up through 2/3 through, you're like, this is messed up, but I believe every word of this. This is messed up, but I buy it. This is messed up, but I'm here with you. Then you discover the man living in the basement in the secret, and you're like, oh no, this just got interesting.
Yep. And you mentioned writing.
I did.
There was, I want to say, it's not one-sided or the other. I'll get to that.
Okay.
So it's not like you knew what was coming around every bend.
No.
Or you didn't know what was coming around every bend. There's some instances where you knew what was going to happen next.
Absolutely.
Some that you didn't know. One case is, like you said, going down to the basement. We thought she was going to kill herself.
We did, like, when the old housekeeper comes up and she says, "Hey, I left something in the basement. Can I go down there?" And she's like, "Hey, what's?" She's like, "Do you want to come with me?" And she's like, "Oh no." And you and I both sat like, she's down there killing herself. Oh, she's down there breaking things. Like, something's going wrong. Because the tone changed correctly, and so clearly something was wrong, and clearly something was off. But never in a million years did I bet that her husband was living in the base. Like,
yes,
that was new.
And then some things like, oh, we knew like this person was going to get the job next, or like how they're going to do that.
It did a really good job of following the expected hit beats, following the expected hit times, and then going, bah, gotcha. Like,
I mean, to be fair on that front, I think it was the mother of like the household.
Yeah.
Where she was like, man, the maid just like she eats like two
no, it was
people.
The dad. It was the dad.
Oh, it was the dad that said that?
That she's without fault. We've had her for so many years. She is without fault. Maybe the one fault is that she eats like she's eating for two people.
Yeah.
But other than that, she's great.
I was like the one hint to, hey,
yeah, and you even
someone's
pointed
in the
that out.
basement.
Exactly. Yeah, it's a. I'll tell you. Pardon me. It makes me want a secret basement lair. like I'm watching and I'm like, yes, I need a secret basement lair. Probably not the designed takeaway, but definitely.
Yeah, because they made it seem like a labyrinth.
I was like, man, why don't I have a sub
Why
basement?
not?
Like, I'm now really angry at my realtor. I did not get the sub basement option.
The sub basement model.
No, that was not on my mark home. So, yeah, the film, it is not about a contagion. It is not about a disease. It is about a parasitic family. But you mentioned writing. Sorry to.
Yeah.
One of the fun things about translated films is when they're using words. Like if you watch an English film versus an American film, there are words they use.
Lift.
Well, that I don't even mean like that. Like brilliant and silly. Brilliant, silly, and clever. Brilliant, silly, and clever, and simple. Brilliant, simple, clever, silly. Those are not used in English
Or mental.
the same way they are used in American. And they're used close enough that we get it.
Yeah.
But like in Doctor Who, they'll say, "I'm being really clever over here." You wouldn't like we know what it means.
Yeah.
Clever to us is ingenious. Clever is like, oh, I thought of this really nifty thing. Clever to them just means cool, different, smart.
Or like with mental, like he's gone mental, like he's gone mad.
Right. Brilliant. Brilliant means cool. Brilliant means awesome. Where to us it means smart.
Yeah.
There's so many. But this movie, it used metaphorical several times when I knew what they meant, but I was like, it's a really interesting word choice there. Like, that's, I mean, obviously it's been translated, so the word isn't directly metaphorical, but like, I'd love to talk to a Korean speaker and have them explain that word, whatever it is, and like use several sentences to explain that. Does it mean what I think it means as far as metaphorical, like deep? Because often they're like, ooh, this award is so metaphorical. Oh, that painting is so metaphorical. And I want to say, well, clearly that means deep and significant. But maybe not. I don't know.
was going to say metaphorical or like a metaphor in English is like using another word to describe it.
Yeah, it's
that's like the most basic definition.
Right. A metaphor, something like a like or an as.
Yeah.
Or sorry, well, that would be a simile.
That's a simile.
But a metaphor is when it's like, it's using something to describe something else.
Yeah, so maybe that's what they're saying it as?
Maybe. I don't know. I assume they mean deep and symbolic. Like, every time they use it, they're describing something that could also be described as deep and symbolic. So I think...
So I was going to say with the painting, it could be like a hidden message for like something else.
I loved this movie, but I didn't like it very much. It was fascinating and amazing and stressful as all hell.
Yeah.
It was unbelievably well marketed by lots of people saying, like, I had no idea what I was going into. And it really encouraged me to not... I don't typically do this anymore. I usually know what a movie is. I know a lot of...
Yeah.
I went into this truly, truly thinking it was going to be about some kind of quarantine. Again, I knew that it came out pre-quarantine, but like, I knew... The movie Contagion came out in quarantine, and all the zombie films. A movie called Parasite, I just really assumed was going to be about some crazy flesh-eating bacteria.
Yeah.
No, that is not what this movie's about. And I liked it. I'm a fan.
Yeah. We came in as like filmmakers and that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
And like everyone hyping it up, we thought it was gonna be like the opposite. We thought we were gonna like heavily critique it. And I was just like, I really like how this was shot.
You know, and don't get me wrong. Even things that are often critically acclaimed, I can be like, I don't like Casablanca very much. I don't like Gone with the Wind very much. I don't like The Godfather very much. And people are like, whoa, now.
Yeah.
I don't. I like. Those are 3 of the top 5 on every list ever. It's usually Citizen Kane, which I love. Like, legit love. Like, some people are like, yeah, it's boring, but I watch it because I appreciate it. No, I actually enjoy Citizen Kane. Citizen Kane, Casablanca, Gone with the Wind, The Godfather. Those are the top 4.
Yeah.
I actively dislike 3 of them. No, I don't actively dislike The Godfather. I just don't like The Godfather. I actively dislike Gone with the Wind and Casablanca. Going into this, I expected to be like, okay, it was this year's hype. No, again, I don't want to oversell this as like, it was perfection. No, it wasn't. There was a lot of hype to this. But I will say it earned the hype because it was nothing like a movie I've seen. But it was just freaking awesome.
And I want to point out something that I caught on, and after I say it, I think you will too.
Okay.
But something that you always tell me a lot about
is
be at the right place at the right time.
Correct.
This family was most definitely that.
They were a parasite, and I mean this. They were a parasite.
Yeah.
The youngest son got the job teaching English because his friend was the old teacher, and then they needed an art teacher, and his
not needed, but he kind of like found out just like kind of hearing about it.
Right, exactly. So they needed an English teacher, then kind of heard that they had like an art teacher but can't find one, so he created the position. Then they got the driver fired so they could bring in the dad. Then they got the housekeeper fired to bring in the house. This family was just a parasite, an invasive parasite, and people died. Now,
not because of them to say.
I mean, I still don't understand why the father killed the father. Like that still.
I still don't understand that.
It was an odd twist. I mean, it was the smelling thing. That's what it was. It was that he was holding his nose he was holding his nose at the other guy, and he was like, "Oh, screw this dude."
Yeah, I was gonna say the only inference I can gather is that the person living there in the basement beforehand, was like, well, he's been homeless. His wife has been with him. They're just basically nobodies, and he was in that same position. And you saw this rich man basically taking over them.
Yeah.
Or so, and maybe that's why.
Yeah, it was an interesting move.
Yeah, we both did not see that coming.
And I think that the fact that the son lived after getting hit in the head with a rock hard twice, I'm like,
and almost snapped his neck.
Yeah.
With the doorway and everything.
But so what are we watching next week?
Oh, before we do that.
I
was also going to mention, at the very end, this is just to ponder your and everyone's thoughts out there.
Sure.
For everyone that's seen it. We saw that the husband that killed the father lived in the basement.
Yes.
Now, you think the person that was living in the basement beforehand did that like same kind of occurrence? Because the maid was there before the family moved in.
Right. They explained in the movie how that happened.
Yeah.
Is that in the lull between the two, she moved in her husband, and he'd been hiding there for 4 years.
Yeah. I was saying, you think like that whole like bloodbath happened before that family moved in, and that's why he's hiding in the basement to escape from like the cops and everything.
He was hiding in the basement to escape from creditors. They talked about that. The credit people were still looking.
Yeah.
I don't know. I hear what you're saying. It's an interesting thought. The movie was unexpected.
Yeah.
From beginning to end, unexpected.
Yeah. Sounds good.
The use of sound was interesting. The use of me and cameras and cameras in movement. the movements were very lyrical, and there was a couple of moments that were really good acting, really good shots where like he hands her his fake diplomas, his fake college transcripts, and she looks and says, "Oh, well, I don't care about paperwork."
Documents.
And he immediately takes it and puts his arm over it as to like, "Cool, please stop looking at it." Like, please stop looking. There was a few little movements throughout the movie that were just so expertly choreographed, but Again, I'll say lots of good about it. I don't know that I liked it, but it was a masterpiece.
Going with shots and things.
Sure.
I'm gonna talk about one of the things that you mentioned during the film.
Okay.
Kind of like the reverse of what you're talking about.
Okay.
You were saying that some of the shots were too slow.
No, I said I said the shots were changing pace. It's a pregnant shots going from 3 seconds 5, 3 seconds 5, 3 seconds 5 to 5 second 8, 5 second 8, 5 second 8.
Yeah.
That is that's the calm before the storm. 100%, 100% of the time. If what I was saying in that moment was the shots just slowed down. The shots are too slow. That doesn't mean the shots are too slow. That means the only reason to start doing pregnant shots, these long breathy shots, is to slap you. Like that's why you do that. So long breathy shots, pregnant pauses, those are either a precursor to those are either leading into a downbeat. Either we're happy, we're sad, we're happy, we're joyful, your father is dead. You're like, and when that happens, all of a sudden the shots are going to get long. But that's when you're following the action. If you're pre-leasing the action, the time I said that is she had just walked down. I'm like, the shots are too long. The shots are too long, which means when shots change speed and shot choices change, when they stop being of characters and start being of scenes. I can make that make sense if that isn't clear enough.
I think that makes sense.
Like, you, me, you, me, you, me. A shot from over there, you and me. You're like, the master shot? Yes. Sometimes it's the master shot, but often the master shot, especially a longer master shot, if it is accompanied with a few other leading actions, it implies or it suggests to our brain, it changes the gear and makes us now, instead of us involved in the conversation, us watching the conversation. And the minute we're watching the conversation, if the shots slow down, it raises naturally. This is all something called entrainment. It naturally raises in you a sense of anxiety, a sense of anticipation, and it can be a way to stress your audience out on purpose. It can be a way to get them really anxious on purpose, or it's another way to get them ready to jump.
I almost did.
You did. we can play back the tape. You jumped. Anyway, yeah.
So next, I don't know if you know this, but I am in civil engineering architecture.
I am aware.
As one of my classes in high school.
Yes.
So I think that's perfect transition. Let's talk about the house.
The house that doesn't exist? Yeah.
Second floor, actually. Second floor that doesn't exist.
When we were watching, Jeff pulled it up for us when we were getting ready for this film. Jeff showed us, my business partner, that the house that you see a quadrillion times doesn't...
We could put there.
Yeah. It doesn't exist. Like, it's a one-story house. They built it. It's a one-story house. And then they put a blue ring around it and just composited the second floor on. Which makes me curious, where are all the interiors, since they're clearly not in that house?
Yeah.
Which also makes me wonder, like, there's a budgeting thing here. Like, was finding a rich person's house really not cheaper than doing, like, this doesn't, there are some movies out there where the set was so specifically built that it had to be handcrafted. Well, no, I mean, I guess that's not fair. They needed... Nope, I take it back. I just thought that through. There was nothing special about this house that couldn't have been some rich guy's house.
Yeah.
But they built a house. They did this whole thing, and that's an interesting decision. Why were the... I don't...
If it's to save on materials,
I don't
budget,
know.
Or...
It couldn't have been to save on materials. They did it the hard way.
Oh, yeah.
Save on materials would be knocking doors and being like, "Excuse me, can I use your house? I'm not creepy."
That is true.
They seemed to do this
unless
the hard
they
way.
used a one-story house and then put the blue on top of it.
That's what they did.
Yeah.
Oh, I see what you're saying. But then, so where are the interiors? It's like, because you kept on, like, the stairs up and down, the stairs up and down were such massive parts. That's a one-story house. There was no upstairs.
Yeah.
So there's so many questions I have, but interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. So, what are we watching next week?
Next week we are watching Traffic.
Traffic, Steven Soderbergh. Yep. Catherine Zeta-Jones, Michael Douglas. It's classic in 90s. When was Traffic? I want to say 97, 98. Traffic movie. It is later than I thought. It is 2000. It is Steven Soderbergh, which I said. Yeah, no, it's great. It's one of the first films to really play with. It's one of the first films I am really familiar with that played a lot with mixed color temperatures, which we talked a little bit off air. Yeah, but it's Benicio del Toro, Catherine Zeta-Jones, Erica Christensen, Michael Douglas, as well as Thomas Milan, Jacob Vargas, Stephen Bauer, Dennis Quaid, Topher Grace, Amy Irving, Luis Guzman, Don Cheadle. Like, it is James Brolin, Benjamin Bratt. I'd forgotten about. Like, this movie has a lot. I'm just scrolling at this point. Holy crap. This movie has a lot of muscle behind it, and it is really, really, really solid. And but it's not only a film noir, it's a neo-noir.
Okay.
It's Steven Soderbergh, who most people your age know for Ocean's 11, 12, and 13. Have you seen Ocean's 11, 12, or 13?
I don't think so, no.
Have you heard of Ocean's 11, 12, or 13?
My only guess is that it's a documentary. It's
okay.
I'm
really
certain
sorry.
probably wrong.
I've made some questionable life choices. Ronan is high on that list. Really? No? Ocean's 13, first off, Ocean's 11 was a Brat Pack film back in the 60s that they remade with George Clooney and Brad Pitt. It's a heist movie. It's amazing. Whatever. You're just one day you'll.
I'm just built different.
You did not just do that. That's such a bad TikTok trend too. Anyway, oh my god. Okay. If you watch TikTok, you know what has just been thrown. Get me an egg. Anyway, Steven Soderbergh, master. He's great. We're gonna watch. It's one of his best films, in my opinion. So it's called, as I said, Traffic.
Okay.
It is about drug trafficking. We're going to be watching it not only because we've been going back and forth with a lot of noirs because it's my favorite, but Steven Soderbergh and this particular film is a master of a particular branch of storytelling and cinematography that I think will be fun to watch.
Okay. Fantastic. I am
So
waiting
Traffic.
to see it. Excited to see it.
And does that bring us home, or do you have any other segments you want to spring?
I think that's about it.
Cool.
We talked about words. We talked about everything
We did.
else. So, yeah.
So bring us on home.
As always, I've been Ronan,
I've been Kirk.
and this is Reels in the Round on the Rectangle Table.